Hello, everyone. It is the Odds Couple, and one of us is coming from with a new look.
Disney World! I didn't even lose a bet, and I'm looking like this. But this is for my granddaughter Rose, so I had to show it off before she gets it in as a present for her. So I'm wearing her Mickey ears with, I don't know what this is, but you would know. Wedding shawl, but that doesn't make sense for a 3-year-old. So I really don't know what this is.
I don't know. I don't know why they give that if it's for a 3-year-old.
It's supposed to go over the back, but well, I'm not sure it's supposed to be for a 3-year-old.
I don't
think that's what we bought.
Princesses wear veils either, so I don't know. Maybe princesses do wear veils. So
I don't know. I just play along with the game.
All right. Well, anyways, last week I had a great week. I went 4-0 for the first time this season. And how did you do, Mike?
I went 4-0 in week 10. Week 9. I went 1-3. 1-3. So I think you are 2 up on me, if I'm not mistaken.
Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. Yes, I am. Girl power.
Look, I'm trying to transform into girl power. Okay, that's why I wore this today. Maybe it'll give me some good luck. Good juju.
All right, so we're in week 11 now. Yes.
We are. We're getting close to the latter part of the season, and both you and I are in fantasy. And I do believe we've got a bet this week because we are playing each other mano a mano.
You have the better quarterback, though, or the better fantasy quarterback, I should say.
I do, but I actually have 2 better, and I'm not sure which one to go with. Do I go with Purdy, or do I go with your boy out of Cincinnati, Burrows?
Who's Cincinnati this week?
That's a tough one, because I was looking and their matchup wasn't as favorable as Purdy, so I went ahead and started Purdy, so we'll see.
Well, I would say, I know they're playing Seattle, so go ahead, play a division rival.
and the last time I took Burrow against a division rival, which is a different one. I don't remember who they're playing, but he only had like 14 points, and I either tied or lost by 1. I can't remember what the story was, and Purdy lit it up. But Purdy has been scoring quite a few points every single week, so fantasy points anyways.
And they got McCaffrey back, so there you go.
Exactly. He might have scored a ton of points last week.
Well, he's got an extra target.
Yeah, well, because San Francisco Tampa Bay over was one of my picks last week and they didn't cover, they still had a good fantasy week for Purdy, even though your freaking Niners didn't score very many points. So,
well, sorry. They're not my Niners. I just like Christian McCaffrey. Well, he's actually really but he is pretty.
We did pick one right last week. It was the Bills -4. That was a good pick by both of us.
Our agreeing pick. So, you want to start it off, or you want me to start it off?
I can start it off. So I'm gonna go with this week. I'm staying on the I want to say Redskins. That just tells you how old I am. The Commanders. I'm going on the Commanders. Going on that train. I'm staying on it. Plus 3.5 in Philly. Although I think Philly is getting back into that mid to 2/3 swing of playing good football, just for them to probably crap the bed at the end of the year, but that's okay because right now Philly is playing better. However, I'm a believer in Daniels. I think the guy is good. I think their defense is good. I think that team believes in itself right now.
He's definitely
dogs.
Tiger.
Yeah, they're dogs. I mean, granted, they're in Philly, and that's a tough place to play. And, of course, I don't know what weather's going to do and all that stuff. But Daniel seems to be a weapon that's hard to contain.
Yeah, and it's amazing how that Hail Mary pass affected teams so differently. Because Chicago, after that, they've, completely, died. Which leads me into my next pick. So the Packers are playing the Bears, and just because the Bears they fire their OC, which they probably need to fire their entire coaching staff, which that entire coaching staff is probably dead man's walking until the end of the season. So I'm taking the Packers -5.5. I think they're just the better team of the 2 teams. Caleb Williams, he is losing confidence. Their coaching staff is not putting him in the best situation to win. So
yeah, and I think I watched PTI, which was interesting yesterday afternoon, and Wilbon was like, he goes, Chicago just never has really been an offensive juggernaut team. Like, even when you look back in the days they won the Super Bowl, they still weren't an offense. It's always been their defense. They had Peyton and things like that.
They kill quarterbacks. They do not create quarterbacks.
They're just not that.
And that's their culture, whether they're playing against a team, let's kill a quarterback, or even their own quarterback, let's kill the quarterback.
And guess what? You asked me the other day, like, who I thought would be could be a coach that was offensive minded, and I said Kingsbury. And guess what PTI said? The same thing. But I mean, they'll let him go with Washington. I don't know. But
if Washington was smart, they'd be like, well, let's pay him a lot of money to stay here for a few more years. It seems to really get the best out of Jaden.
And I don't know. I think Cliff got kind of burned out with the Cardinals and the NFL head coach. So I don't know if he'll ever come back or not. But I guess if the money's right, you just never know.
Wow, that's what I was saying. They should make him the highest paid OC in Washington if they were smart. Maybe.
Isn't that what the Chiefs did with Bieniemy? Like, Bieniemy was, I think, because they kept protecting him, and then he eventually went to Washington. I wonder where that guy is now. I'm just curious, because he was supposed to be maybe the takeover coach for Washington, and then that never happened. So I have to look that up. Curious.
Yeah. Don't know. Don't know. But yeah, I'm going to stay with Packers -5.5. They're playing in Chicago, I believe. I think the Packers with Jordan Love, they're going to score on the Bears. Poor Bears. Even though
I agree.
You know.
My number 2. Oh, go ahead.
I said your next pick.
My number 2 is going to be, I'm riding down the crap train, but the Saints took out the Falcons last week, and I'm not sure. Falcons are always like that. What if with Kirk Cousins or anybody that's at Kirk Cousins? It's always like the tale of two seasons. Always, it's like, what the hell happened to you? Oh my God, this is the best team in the league. So I don't know where we're at on that, but I'm going to take the Saints -1 at home against the worthless Browns. So I don't know. I just feel like I'm going off momentum. If New Orleans can beat the Falcons, I'm going to assume that they can beat the Browns. Granted, the Browns have an amazing friggin' defense, so that's always the if, and the Saints offense isn't super great with your boy Derek Carr, but I'm still going to take the Saints here.
Okay, sounds good. My next pick, Raiders at Miami. I am actually going to, well, let's just say I think Miami's going to win the game. I don't think that they cover more than a touchdown. So because it's the spread right now is 7.5, I'm going to go with the Raiders plus 7.5. If the line dropped by Sunday, I would probably, like if the line went down to 6, I probably would take the Dolphins. I think 6-7 is probably where it's going to be. I just don't know anything more than a touchdown. Like even with Tua back, they're not lighting it up offensively like they thought they would last year, like they did last year. So, and the Raiders do play pretty decent defense. Their offense is questionable, especially with their 2 quarterbacks. Little ass boy. So yeah, I'm gonna say, but Raiders 7.5 because they are pretty scrappy. And the Dolphins, they just haven't really lit it up. Like they started off well against the Rams, getting Waddle involved, but then he kind of just fell off. Hill finally got involved towards the end of the game, but with all the injuries that the Rams had, it should have been going more of Miami's way, in my opinion, but it didn't.
Yeah, we'll see. I think
they squeaked it out at the end. Still,
I think it'll be a test for Miami. Yeah. We'll see who they are and what they are, because that was a must-win for them. Were they like 2-7 or 2-6 or something like that? So 2-8, I don't know. So they've got
to have a prayer.
Yeah, exactly. So they were backs against the wall against the Rams, and so I kind of figured they'd come out and win that game. All right, my pick 3. I'm going back to the Vikings again. I'm taking matchups against super crappy ass teams. So Vikings -6 at Tennessee. I don't know, that's a lot, but then again, I put a boatload of money on the Vikings on Monday night a couple weeks ago at -5, and they won by like 8 or something. So I think it's possible. I like it. I'm going to keep riding the Vikings against a crappy team, even though it's at Tennessee. Taking Vikings -6. Hopefully Sam Darnold plays well. Their defense is still pretty aggressive and pretty good in my opinion. Tennessee has not really shown much of anything on the offensive front, so I'm going to ride the Vikings defense, Sam Darnold to stay hot, and win by 6.
Yeah, so I'm going to go to one of my favorite all-time rivalry games, Ravens and the Steelers. I'm actually going to take the over because the Ravens can obviously score. Steelers have, to me, the best all-around defense in the league. I think they have the most takeaways for scores. They ugly it up. But I don't think they can ugly it up too much with the Ravens, so they're going to have to keep up and score. They're going to have to score defensively, and they're going to have to score offensively. And they've started to do that the last few weeks, so I'm going to take the over of 48.
I like it.
They're playing in Pittsburgh, so hopefully the weather will be good enough to support my theory.
I like it only because I was flip-flopping last week about like I did the Jets against you on the bet, and I flipped to that and I won. I almost thought about changing my mind on the flip with the Pittsburgh under, and I should have listened to my intuition on the flip because I lost that one by taking the under. Yep. All right, my last pick, I'm going down to Monday Nighter. So I got a Thursday Nighter and a Monday Nighter and a couple of Sundays. So Monday Nighter is the Texans versus the horrific Dallas Cowboys. I think Cooper Rush gets a little bit better. I don't know. We'll see. I do like the Texans defense, but I do think that there's some scoring that can happen against it. I think the Texans can do whatever they want with the Cowboys. So on offense, I don't think it's a matter of how many points the Texans score. It's a matter of how many the Cowboys score. But 42 doesn't seem like enough to me. And now it will be enough if the Cowboys can't score. But I do think they're going to score some points. So going Texans Cowboys Monday Nighter over 42.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide on my fantasy to either play Justin Herbert or CJ Stroud because they are playing Dallas. I don't know. I have to look at the matchup still.
I'm not giving you any advice.
Anyways, my last pick, I am going Falcons Broncos. I'm going to take the under in that because the Broncos have a very, very solid defense. They don't let anyone score. Last week, they kept the Chiefs to 16 points and one off of a blocked field goal. Otherwise, they would have handed the Chiefs their first loss. Because they played so well defensively, but I don't think that they're going to score very much on the Broncos. So I'm going to say, because they're now the ugliest watch probably in football because they don't score very much and they don't let the opponent score either. So 44 is the point total, and I'm going to take the under in that. So those are my 4 for the week. Do you have any bonus picks?
4?
Yeah.
4, no bonus picks for me at this point. I think, no bonus picks. So what you got? I know you liked your Ohio State.
I did, but I'm not going to bet on it because you know my thing. I don't bet on my college teams. I don't want to jinx them.
I think we should start looking a little bit at, maybe doing a quick review of how we see the playoff bracket for college football look out. Maybe like start to kind of pick that apart a little bit on a show.
Right. Well, right now I think, what do they have? I didn't look at the rankings. I didn't look after yesterday's rankings, so I'd have to take a look. But yeah, we could do that next week. Take a look.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Georgia fell. So Texas moved up, I think, to the 3rd slot, or maybe even 2 slots. So it's Oregon for sure, and then
Ohio State.
Maybe Ohio State's number 2, and then
Ohio State
Texas is
number
2. They are perfect. Then it's Texas at 3, and then, but yeah, it's interesting to see. Like, I like to draw out that bracket because, like we were talking about earlier, it's not based on how the rankings are. It's based on projection on the playoff system because of, like you said, conference winners, things like that. So some people have already ran out of rope on the ability to win their conference, so therefore they can't get up into that top 4 bracket.
Yep.
So
they still make the playoffs. Like Georgia could most likely win. They're most likely going to be in the playoffs, but not unless they lose one more game. I don't think Georgia loses another game, but you never know. So, but I think Georgia.
Yeah, when I was watching the College Bowl breakout, again, it's still all just, advice or opinions, but they actually had SMU and Georgia on the outside looking in was their projection. So it was kind of interesting.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I see. I think Georgia at 2 losses still get in, and I think Texas can afford one more loss, and I believe Ohio State can afford one more loss and still.
Is Texas playing Georgia coming up? There's some kind of weird matchup. Like Texas has got a big game.
Georgia already played.
Okay.
And Georgia beat.
Yeah, that's right, because Georgia dominated them. Yeah, beat them. Texas is A&M. That's who it is. So they're thinking that if Texas doesn't beat A&M, they possibly get to be the outside looking in because they haven't had shit for a schedule.
Well,
they beat Vanderbilt.
That's true.
So that's kind of what's hurting.
That's why I think Georgia gets in, because Georgia handled Texas, and while Texas was ranked 1 at the time, and Ohio State's loss would have been to Oregon by a point on a neutral field that could have gone either way, and then their loss to, if they lose one more time, it would most likely be to Indiana, who is ranked, I believe, 5 right now. So they would have lost to everybody in the top 10 if they do lose. So those would get in my opinion, over Texas if Texas lost again. But if
I want to see, go ahead.
I was going to say, but if Georgia loses one more, Texas is in. If they lose one more.
Yep.
But
I want to see Army get in undefeated.
Oh, they should. If they're undefeated. We'll see.
So far they are, but we'll see. We'll see if the 12 system playoff system actually works for those non-big conferences, because that was part of the play, was
getting them more involved and making it a little more fair. Because
Not that I think Army could beat Alabama.
If they didn't have their second loss, UNLV could have very well been in too, which is crazy because they typically suck, but they've been playing really, really well this year.
They have. I've actually enjoyed them.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, cool. Like when they broke the top 25 and then they lose that week, and I'm like, oh, but and then they lost to, I think, Boise. So they lost to a ranked team.
Oh, yeah. Boise is good. Well, because BYU, who did BYU beat? Because there was a 1-loss team in there that BYU beat. I couldn't remember who it was, but
I can't remember who BYU beat.
They're in the hunt too. Yeah. So, because that was their one. Maybe it was SMU. I don't remember. I think it was SMU. They were like only a 1-loss team. So, anyways, I don't know. We'll see. It's gonna get interesting, I think, as you watch the bracket each week.
Oh yeah,
for the next few weeks, it's gonna get really interesting.
So we'll do a show just around that bracket once it all gets settled out.
Yeah.
Have to pick every game because
we're going to do a bonus show on college football once the bracket's set up, which will probably be right around the second week of December or somewhere in that neighborhood.
I'm telling you, it's the best thing that happened to college football was those playoffs back in 2014, and then expanding it now is the next best thing. So it got more people involved, more people watching it, and college football is still pretty regional, but yeah.
Well, and I think it's also going to keep these players from wanting to sit out. At least, the bowl games, the non-12 are going to sit out their best players, of course, because they want to make the NFL. But your top 12 now, instead of before, it was always like only the top 2 teams that they maybe play all their players, right?
Which was terrible for a lot of teams. I mean, look at Ohio State last year. They didn't make it into the conference because their one loss was against the team that won the national championship.
Right.
So then they lose in the transfer portal. Like, I think 3 of their best players. They lost their starting quarterback, they lost one of their running backs, and they lost I think a receiver. And I'm like, you shouldn't be able to transfer until football season, which includes bowl season.
Exactly.
But then all of a sudden they're playing for another team in the bowl. It's like, And then look what happened to Florida last year too, with an injury and then being destroyed in the port. It's not, you're not even watching the same team at that point. So you have a team that did all this, and then you're not even watching the same team because they have to change pretty much everything because their personnel change.
Yeah.
So
coaches change, personnel changes. Yeah, it's like it's even hard to like bet on or pick a bracket winner.
They gotta figure out rules
because you're just
for
like
that. Like you know, like free agency ends after a certain week, which I think was last week in the NFL. It should be even sooner for college. It's like, you know what? After the first 2 weeks of football, you're stuck at that school. I don't care if you don't like it. You're stuck at that school for the season. You know,
exactly. Or you can't play for somebody else. Yeah, finish your college up there or no. But
you can't have it all your way. This isn't Burger King. You know what I mean?
All right, my friend. Well, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that College Bowl pick. You're up 2. We got a little fantasy football bet going on for next week, so we'll see who shows up with what background. So, I am 2-0 on the personal bet. So, I'm looking to go to 3-0.
If you see Mike's background with a B and a middle finger, you know who won.
I got to come up with yours still, so I'll be working on that over the next few days.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it, guys. We'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Hey. Out.